Understand, though, that the mind is not evil. It's not the enemy. It's a powerful tool for great works, except that we're not using it that way when we are unconsciously dreaming. Why and how unconsciousness happens and what to do about it is what today is all about. In fact, it's what my life is all about now, and here's why. I grew up in a family that was affected by addiction to alcohol. And my story of transformation began with my father, who suffered, became depressed, and died by suicide in 2003. That started me on a quest to find an end to suffering for him, my family, and myself. 6 years later, I was denied the love I thought I had to have. My life was littered with failures. My past was littered with failures. I was struggling with life in in every way. And this was just the final straw. Not only was nothing going right, but now I was alone again. So I went into heavy suffering. I came to rock bottom, and the thought of suicide arose. But I had promised my dad that his suffering would not be for nothing. That happened the day I left the hospital after he passed. And so I tried everything one could do when living in poverty. Self-help, reading, positive thinking, meditation, Zen. Most things felt like denial. But it was in actually the middle of my own intensive suffering in 2009, and it was unrelated to my dad, that I saw for myself what was going on. It's a common experience being dumped, but what was uncommon was what happened to me in the middle of that suffering. My state shifted suddenly from pain to love and joy. I fell in love with love, and I went around on a high for weeks for no reason, because I was still dumped. I was still, I had no job. In fact, I had debt. I had physical illness. You saw I had no furniture. But I fell in love with love itself, and I went around on a high for weeks. And 9 months later, January 2010, that had settled down into a deep peace and equanimity. I quit grasping at the world. I quit trying to prevent anything from the world. Then one day, while walking in the woods, a supernova explosion of love hit my chest and then my head and knocked me to my knees, laughing and crying, tears streaming down my face. And when I looked up at the trees, I saw they're me. These trees, in fact. Everything, everywhere I see, everywhere I look, is me. It was so funny. Laughter exploded at the cosmic joke. It's still kind of funny. Not as funny as it was in that moment, but I fell into the snow just laughing and crying, bawling at the same time, laughing and crying, which was odd to me then, but not anymore. Speech and thought, the voice that I thought I was had left completely. In fact, I couldn't speak. I went to say, it's me, and it's me, and it's me, and it's me. But nothing came out. Duality had collapsed. There was no self and other. There was no it to say it's me. Myself and every self is the same single self, the same single being, the same oneness that everybody in the spiritual world is seeking. And then I started to see that our pain and our suffering are completely imaginary and utterly unnecessary. And I saw all our errors that we made, all the errors that I made. The body mind, it was not born with a manual. And our parents actually don't know much about it either. They all made the same mistakes. And we came to wrong conclusions. And these have been passed down for generations. You're a person. You're a spirit in the body having a spiritual experience and all these types of things. But even though we've been conditioned as a society with the same false information, the truth remains the truth. Nothing happened to the truth. So people like you and me can break free. Now free, I help others. I've acted as spiritual facilitator, helping people around the world, stop stress, anxiety, depression, and even suicidal ideation since 2009. I've been studying exactly what suffering is and how it functions. And through that, I've stumbled upon groundbreaking new techniques to give people the experience of waking up so that they can recognize what's actually going on and going wrong, to empower them, clearing the path for self-realization, where the search and the seeking and the suffering is finally over. So I've worked with people from various religious backgrounds, from Christian to atheist, Buddhist to Course in Miracles, those seeking enlightenment, having heard of it like I had, or those just spiritual but not religious, which is where I landed